Whenever someone thinks of a history book, they automatically think of something that must be accurate. However, this isn't always the case. As you can see here, I'm looking at what's mainly not a writing book, but it's got facts in it, but it's got many artistic interpretations of various uniforms and World War II historical memorabilia. But I want to take a look today at the accuracy of history books and the inaccuracy of others. I think a very intriguing place to start would be with the 1982 novel Schindler's Ark by Thomas Keneally, which is actually inspired the film that got me passionate about history in the first place and is my favourite film of all time, along with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is Schindler's List. Just this movie and book alone are captivating and emotionally resonant and honest and truthful. But Schindler's Ark, and I must note that this does not take away any quality of the book whatsoever, but one must note that Schindler's Ark at the beginning actually says some stages of the book would be fictional, but the book rightfully, and thank God, tried to be as accurate to the history of Oskar Schindler and the Jews he rescued as humanly possible. And it was very obvious that he would have to fictionalize some things where both Oskar Schindler and others had only left the briefest detail, as is recorded in the book's first pieces of writing from the author's note by Thomas Keneally himself. So people who say that Schindler's Ark and Schindler's List are entirely accurate would be false, because there are some hints of fiction, but that doesn't mean it's not truthful to the trauma that took place, which is really the most important thing, to realize the trauma so we can oppose things like prejudice and discrimination in the hopes of a better tomorrow. Capturing the trauma, it shows just the devastation and the cruelty of what happened, and how the disgusting anti-Semitism and just all these traumatic realities of war, and just how this took place. And by capturing that is what I'm most proud of with Schindler's Ark and Schindler's List. When I watch it, what really emotionally resonates with me is both the character's arc and journey of becoming a better person and wanting to help, first off starting as a con artist and then becoming someone who genuinely wants to help these people after witnessing the actions in the liquidation of the Krakow ghetto on 13th of March 1943. And what the book does as well is exactly the same, in just an incredible light of sympathy, empathy, and honesty, as well as cruelty, because to show that highlight of empathy and to realize the trauma and how this can never happen again, which unfortunately some of this stuff has actually happened again, which is very important that this is taught in history classes, and is why I've been partially irritated when at my school I was told sometimes that I couldn't do history, and that was very upsetting, because this is a very important piece of history that everyone should remember. And because some people do forget about this part of history, because the world we live in now is very accepting and caring, and for it to continue being like that, we have to go back, unfortunately, to these traumatic realities and to teach us lessons about acceptance and opposing prejudice, discrimination, and disgusting anti-Semitism and racism, and just opposing the evil of the system. And that's what I think the book and film capture very well. So in terms of accuracy, the film and book aren't obviously 100%, but that I'm never going to criticize it by that, because even as a historian, I wouldn't criticize Schindler's List and Schindler's Ark by the historical accuracy, because one, the book was trying to be as historically accurate as humanly possible, but also more importantly, the book and film do not just capture historical accuracy, but it captures the trauma. Even a fictional film about the Holocaust can capture trauma. And I think the Boy with Striped Pajamas did that quite well, not in a few parts, but did it quite well, especially towards the ending, which I won't say because of spoilers. But I think what I'm trying to say is that accuracy, even though that's what this video is about, that's not actually always the most important thing. The most important thing is not being accurate to the facts and the events, but being accurate to the trauma and the devastating realities of what took place, as well as trying to be as historically accurate as possible, so it can really teach us lessons how to oppose these disgusting prejudices. If you would want a fully historically accurate book on Oskar Schindler, I would highly, and I mean highly, recommend David Crowe's 2004 novel Oskar Schindler, The Untold Account of His Life, Wartime Activities, and the True Story Behind the List. That book is detailed. It even has references to Oskar Schindler's children and also to Oskar Schindler's Sister Elfride, who are very, very unknown. I would highly recommend this book. Please do get this book. Unfortunately, I'm not able to obtain the full book. Like, I've seen snippets of it online. I've actually been able to get the full book online, surprisingly, for free. But I would like to buy the book and support it. So please, please get this for your history book collection. For the last segment of this video, I will be looking at the Arms and Uniforms of the Second World War Part 1 book that I recently have had the pleasure of owning. So the books in the Flags and Standards section reads, the regimental standard was the tricolour, with the blue band next to the pole. It was 0.9 mm square, excluding the 5 cm gold fringe, and was made of 2 thickness of silk. So this, by my findings, is actually representing a flag of France that also has this type of flag known as the tricolour, and according to the book, it's blue bands next to the pole, and according to another website, it says that it has 3 stripes of blue, among other things that I'll have to do more research on. But what do I trust more, the book or the website? I would probably have to say the book, although they could be referring to the same thing, just with not as much detail and stuff. But I haven't actually looked through this whole book, so I can't really do a full historical analysis on the accuracy and inaccuracy of the book, since this isn't even a history I've studied yet. I just thought it would be fun to look at this book for the last video, so it wasn't just related to one history of the Holocaust, but was related to another history and stuff. And this part, and the page 38 of this book was Flags and Standards, and I thought it'd be interesting to quickly look at that. By the way, I must emphasize I am not criticizing historical fiction whatsoever. I have nothing against historical fiction as long as it, and I mean as long as it, gets the message across that it's trying to get, and that's an important and still educational message. For example, in my school at Little Green, we once watched The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, which I think is a very good film, but I actually think it teaches the Holocaust, and this, I don't criticize it because it's historical fiction. I went into the movie expecting that. I criticized it because I feel like it didn't really have the strength to show the true brutality of the Holocaust, but I also admire it for being something for younger people to learn about the Holocaust, which is a similar feeling I feel to a film by the Shoah Foundation, founded by Spielberg, of The Tattooed Torah, which was an animated film for primary school children, which I thought was actually such an incredible idea and such beautiful animation and expression and stuff. And I think Boy in Striped Pyjamas is kind of in that territory, but I think it still could show more of the actual things that went on in the Holocaust. But I think it does it very beautifully with the friendship. I think it conveys some real emotional expression very well. I just wish it had a little more to it, as well as the characters could have been a bit more developed and understanding. But other than that, I think it's a very good movie, and I would keep it in my history film collection that I have, which is only a few, because there are a lot of historical films, both fiction and non-fiction, that are actually really terribly executed. If anyone enjoyed this video, I know this one was a little bit short, but this was my first video and I didn't want to overdo anything. Perhaps one day, or even tomorrow, who knows, I'll make a more detailed analysis, because this was only a historical accuracy episode 1, so I didn't put everything, but I would like to put everything and more of my passion and heart into these videos as time goes on, to the historical accuracies of the books. And yes, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. And if you have any criticisms towards the video, I'd love to know. If you loved the video, I'd love to know. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban the comments. So yes, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.